In a small village in Nigeria, a couple named Kemi and Ade lived a quiet, simple life. They were respected in the community for their kindness and generosity. However, their home was filled with an aching emptiness. After many years of marriage, they had no children. They had tried everything, but nothing worked. One night, Kemi wept bitterly as she prayed. Ade held her, feeling her pain deep in his own heart. "Kemi, we must not lose hope," Ade whispered, though his voice shook with emotion. "I know, Ade, but it is so hard," Kemi replied, tears streaming down her face. "We need a miracle." The next day, they visited the village priest, Baba Olyamide, known for his wisdom and deep connection to the spiritual world. He listened to their plight with a grave expression. "To have a child, you must make a great sacrifice," Baba Olyamide said, his voice echoing in the small shrine. "Are you willing to do whatever it takes?" "Yes, Baba," Ade and Kemi answered in unison, their desperation evident. Baba Olyamide led them through a thick forest to a hidden shrine. The air felt different there, heavy with an ancient power. He performed a complex ritual, chanting words in a language they did not understand. The air shimmered, and a soft light appeared before them. "The gods have heard your prayers," Baba Olyamide announced. "They will give you a child, but there is a condition." "What is it?" Kemi asked eagerly. "The child will be betrothed to a spirit from birth," Baba Olyamide said. "She must never marry a mortal. Do you accept this?" Kemi and Ade exchanged a glance. Their longing for a child outweighed their fear of the unknown. They nodded. "We accept, Baba." 9 months later, Kemi gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. They named her Amara, meaning grace. She was the light of their lives, and they cherished her deeply. They kept the secret of her betrothal, hoping that the god's condition would never affect her. Years passed, and Amara grew into a kind and intelligent young woman. She was loved by everyone in the village, but Kemi and Ade worried constantly about her future. They never told Amara about the god's condition, believing they could protect her from it. One fateful day, a mysterious illness swept through the village. Many fell sick, including Kemi and Ade. Despite the villagers' efforts and prayers, the illness claimed their lives. Amara was left alone, unaware of the secret that would shape her destiny. As Amara grew older, she began to attract the attention of many suitors. However, tragedy struck each time she grew close to someone. Her first love, Chike, died suddenly in a car accident. The next, Bayo, fell ill and never recovered. Each loss left Amara more bewildered and heartbroken. "What is wrong with me?" Amara often wondered aloud, tears of confusion and sorrow staining her cheeks. She had no idea that her life was not her own, bound by a pact made before her birth. By the time she turned 30, Amara was haunted by vivid dreams every night. In these dreams, she lived another life, one where she was married and had children. These dreams felt so real that she often woke up feeling disoriented. One morning, after another intense dream, Amara decided to take a walk to clear her mind. As she strolled through the market, a man approached her. He was tall, with a calm, confident presence. His eyes held a kindness that instantly put her at ease. "Excuse me, miss," he said gently. "I don't mean to intrude, but I felt compelled to speak to you. My name is Pastor Tund." Amara looked at him, curious and a bit wary. "Hello, Pastor. I'm Amara. I sense a heavy burden on you, Amara. May I have your number? I believe I can help you," Pastor Tund said, his eyes full of sincerity. Amara hesitated, then nodded. "All right, here it is." Amara's heart was heavy as she walked home. The encounter with Pastor Tund left her feeling uneasy but hopeful. Later that evening, as she prepared dinner, her phone rang. It was Pastor Tund. "Hello, Amara," he greeted warmly. "I hope you don't mind me calling." "Not at all, Pastor," she replied, her curiosity piqued. "How can I help you?" "Actually, it's I who might be able to help you," he said. "Could we meet tomorrow? I'd like to talk to you about something important." Amara agreed, and they arranged to meet at a small cafe in the village. That night, Her dreams were more vivid than ever. She dreamt of being in a beautiful house, with a loving husband and children. She woke up feeling both comforted and confused. The next day, she met Pastor Tund at the cafe. He was already seated, a cup of tea in front of him. He stood as she approached, offering her a warm smile. "Thank you for meeting me," he said as she sat down. "Of course, Pastor. What did you want to talk about?" Amara asked, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I sense a spiritual burden on you, Amara," he began. "Tell me, have you experienced any unusual dreams or strange occurrences?" Amara hesitated, then decided to be honest. "Yes, Pastor. I've been having vivid dreams of a different life. One where I'm married and have children, and every man I've been close to has died." Pastor Tund nodded, as if he expected this. "Amara, I believe you are under a spiritual curse. Did your parents ever tell you anything unusual about your birth?" Amara's eyes widened. "No, they didn't. They passed away when I was young. But I've always felt there was something they were hiding." Pastor Tund leaned forward, his expression serious. "I need to perform a spiritual investigation. Would you allow me to visit your home and conduct a prayer session?" Amara agreed, desperate for answers. The next day, Pastor Tund arrived at her house with a small group from his church. They gathered in her living room, lighting candles and praying fervently. As they prayed, the air in the room grew thick with an unseen presence. Pastor Tund's voice rose above the others, commanding any evil spirits to reveal themselves. Suddenly, Amara felt a cold shiver run down her spine, and she collapsed to the floor, unconscious. When she awoke, Pastor Tund was kneeling beside her, his eyes full of concern. "Amara, are you all right?" She nodded weakly. "What happened?" "You have been bound by a powerful spirit," he said gravely. "Your parents made a pact with the gods, and you were betrothed to a spirit from birth. This spirit has claimed you, preventing you from marrying any mortal." Amara's mind raced as she processed his words. "So, that's why every man I've been with has died?" "Yes," Pastor Tund confirmed. "But do not lose hope. There is a way to break this curse." "How?" Amara asked, her voice trembling with desperation. "We must perform a powerful cleansing ritual," he explained. "It will not be easy, and it may take several days. Are you willing to go through with it?" Amara didn't hesitate. "Yes, Pastor. I want to be free." The next few days were a whirlwind of prayers, fasting, and intense spiritual cleansing. Pastor Tund and his church members stayed by Amara's side, guiding her through the rituals. She felt a mixture of fear and hope, unsure of what would happen next. On the third night, as they completed the final ritual, a bright light filled the room. Amara felt a strange, warm sensation wash over her, and she fell into a deep sleep. In her dream, she stood before a majestic figure bathed in light. It spoke to her in a voice that resonated with power and kindness. "Amara, you have been faithful and brave. The curse is lifted. You are free." She woke up with tears in her eyes, feeling lighter than she had in years. Pastor Tund and the others smiled at her, their faces filled with relief and joy. "The curse is broken," Pastor Tund said softly. "You are free to live your life as you choose." Amara's heart soared with happiness. For the first time, she felt a true sense of hope and freedom. She hugged Pastor Tund, grateful for his help and guidance. Little did she know, her journey was far from over. The real challenge was just beginning. Amara's life began to change after the curse was lifted. For the first time, she felt a sense of freedom and hope. She was determined to live her life to the fullest, but a lingering sense of unease remained. She couldn't shake the feeling that the spirit that had claimed her might not give up so easily. One sunny morning, as she walked through the village market, Amara felt a newfound joy in the simple act of greeting her neighbors and browsing the colorful stalls. Her heart felt light, and she caught herself smiling more often. As she reached a stall selling vibrant fabrics, a familiar voice called out to her, "Amara." She turned to see Pastor Tund approaching with a warm smile. "Good morning, Pastor." "Good morning, Amara. How are you feeling?" "I'm doing well, Pastor," she replied, her smile widening. "Thank you for everything you've done. I'm glad to hear that. But remember, the journey isn't over yet. You must stay vigilant," he cautioned gently. "I will, Pastor. Thank you." As Pastor Tund walked away, Amara felt a strange pull towards a stall selling handcrafted jewelry. Among the various items, a delicate silver necklace with a small, intricate pendant caught her eye. She reached for it, feeling an inexplicable connection. "Do you like it?" asked the vendor, an elderly woman with kind eyes. "Yes, it's beautiful," Amara replied. "How much is it?" "For you, it's a gift," the woman said mysteriously. "Take it, and may it bring you protection." Amara hesitated but then accepted the necklace with gratitude. "Thank you so much." That evening, she sat in her room, holding the pendant. She felt a sense of peace wash over her as she clasped it around her neck. As she drifted off to sleep, her dreams took her to the same beautiful house she had seen many times before. This time, however, she was alone, standing in a garden filled with blooming flowers. A gentle voice called her name, and she turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows. It was the same majestic figure she had seen when the curse was lifted. "Amara, you are now free, but you must choose your path wisely," the figure said. "The spirit that once claimed you will not give up easily. It will try to reclaim you." "What should I do?" Amara asked, her voice trembling. "Stay true to yourself and seek guidance from those who care for you. The necklace you received will protect you, but you must also protect your heart." Amara woke up with a start, her hand instinctively reaching for the pendant around her neck. She felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. She knew she couldn't face this challenge alone. The next day, Amara decided to visit Pastor Tund at his church. She needed his counsel and support. As she walked through the village, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Every shadow seemed to harbor unseen eyes, and every whisper felt like a warning. When she arrived at the church, Pastor Tund greeted her warmly. "Amara, it's good to see you. What brings you here today?" "I had another dream, Pastor," she said, her voice filled with urgency. "The spirit that claimed me isn't done with me. I need your help." Pastor Tund's expression grew serious. "I see. Come, let's pray together." They knelt in the quiet church, their voices blending in a harmonious plea for guidance and protection. As they prayed, Amara felt a surge of strength and determination. She knew that with faith and support, she could overcome any challenge. Days turned into weeks, and Amara remained vigilant. She continued to have dreams, but they were less frequent and less intense. She focused on building a life for herself, making new friends, and even starting a small business selling handcrafted jewelry inspired by the necklace she wore. One evening, as she was closing up her shop, a man entered. He was tall, with a calm and kind demeanor that immediately put her at ease. "Good evening," he said with a warm smile. "My name is Daniel. I was passing by and saw your beautiful jewelry. May I take a look?" "Of course," Amara replied, her heart fluttering with a strange sense of familiarity. As Daniel examined the pieces, they struck up a conversation. Amara found herself drawn to him, feeling a connection she couldn't explain. Over the next few weeks, they spent more time together, and their bond grew stronger. However, Amara couldn't forget Pastor Tund's warning. She confided in him about her growing feelings for Daniel, and he listened carefully. "Amara, you must be cautious," Pastor Tund advised. "The spirit may still try to reclaim you, but if Daniel is truly meant for you, he will stand by your side and help you overcome any challenge." Amara nodded, determined to protect herself and those she cared about. She decided to tell Daniel about her past, hoping he would understand. One evening, as they sat by the river, she took a deep breath and began to speak. "Daniel, there's something you need to know about me." The air grew tense as she shared her story, but Daniel listened intently, his eyes never leaving hers. "Amara, I believe you," he said finally, "and I will stand by you, no matter what. We will face this together." For the first time in a long while, Amara felt a sense of peace. As Amara and Daniel grew closer, Pastor Tund found himself increasingly drawn to Amara. He admired her strength and resilience, and over time, his feelings for her deepened. He struggled with these emotions, knowing his duty as a pastor was to guide and protect her. The more time he spent with her, the more he realized he couldn't deny his feelings. One evening, Pastor Tund invited Amara to dinner at his home. He had something important to discuss. As they sat down to eat, he took a deep breath and began to speak. "Amara, there's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I have developed feelings for you. I know this may come as a surprise, but I couldn't keep it to myself any longer." Amara's eyes widened in surprise. "Pastor, I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything right now," he replied gently. "I just wanted to be honest with you. No matter what, I will always be here to support you." Amara took a moment to process his words. She had always admired Pastor Tund for his wisdom and kindness, and now she realized she felt the same way about him. Slowly, she reached out and took his hand. "Thank you for being honest, Pastor. I appreciate your support more than you know." Over the next few weeks, their bond grew stronger. Amara found herself falling for Pastor Tund, and soon, they decided to take their relationship to the next level. The villagers were delighted when they announced their engagement, and the couple was showered with blessings and well wishes. Their wedding was a joyous occasion, filled with laughter, music, and the love of their friends and family. As they exchanged vows, Amara felt a profound sense of happiness and security. She believed that with Pastor Tund by her side, she could face any challenge. However, their happiness was short-lived. The spirit that had once claimed Amara was furious. It had lost its bride, and it sought revenge. Pastor Tund's faith was strong, and the spirit could not touch him directly. Instead, it turned its wrath towards those he loved. The first sign of trouble came when Pastor Tund's younger sister, Amina, fell gravely ill. Despite the doctor's best efforts, her condition worsened rapidly. The family was devastated, and Pastor Tund knew this was no ordinary illness. "We must pray, Amara," he said, his voice filled with determination. "This is the work of the Spirit, and we must fight it with our faith." They gathered their congregation, and together they prayed fervently for Amina's recovery. As they prayed, a sense of unease hung in the air, but their faith remained unshaken. Then strange accidents began to happen. Pastor Tund's brother, Kola, was involved in a serious car crash. His mother, Mama Tund, experienced a series of unexplained health issues. The spirit's attacks were relentless, targeting Pastor Tund's family one by one. As if that weren't enough, the businesses of several church members began to suffer inexplicably. Once thriving shops saw a sudden decline in customers, and financial struggles plagued many families. The spirit's malevolence was spreading, causing widespread fear and uncertainty. "Pastor, what are we going to do?" Amara asked one evening, her voice trembling with worry. "The spirit is destroying everything we hold dear. We must remain strong in our faith, Amara," Pastor Tund replied, his eyes reflecting both sorrow and determination. "The spirit feeds on our fear and despair. We cannot let it win." The church community rallied together, holding nightly prayer vigils and fasting in solidarity. They prayed for protection, healing, and strength. Despite the overwhelming odds, their faith did not waver. One night, as Pastor Tund prayed alone in the church, he felt a presence. The air grew cold, and the candles flickered. "You have taken what belongs to me," a voice hissed from the shadows. "You will suffer for this." Pastor Tund stood firm, his voice unwavering. "You have no power here. I am protected by the grace of God. Leave this place and never return." The presence seemed to waver, but it did not leave. Instead, it intensified its attacks on the community, spreading fear and chaos. Pastor Tund knew they needed a more powerful intervention. He called upon a group of respected elders and spiritual leaders from neighboring villages. Together, they planned a grand cleansing ritual to banish the spirit once and for all. The ritual would take place at the church, and the entire community would participate. The day of the ritual arrived, and the church was filled with the sounds of prayers and hymns. The elders led the congregation in powerful incantations, invoking the protection of the divine. As the ritual reached its peak, a blinding light filled the church. The Spirit's presence was palpable, but so was the strength of their collective faith. Amara stood by Pastor Tund, her hand in his, as they faced the Spirit together. "You cannot win," Pastor Tund declared, his voice resonating with divine authority. "We are united in our faith, and we banish you from our lives." The light grew brighter, and the air crackled with energy. The Spirit let out a final, anguished cry before vanishing into the ether. The church fell silent, and a profound sense of peace settled over the congregation. The ordeal had been a test of their faith and resilience, but they had emerged victorious. The Spirit was banished, and life in the village began to return to normal. Pastor Tund's family members recovered, and the businesses that had suffered began to thrive once more. Amara and Pastor Tund stood together, their bond stronger than ever. They knew they had faced an unimaginable challenge, but their love and faith had seen them through. As they looked out over the village, they felt a deep sense of gratitude and hope for the future. 6 years had passed since Amara and Pastor Tund's wedding. Their love had grown deeper, and they faced every challenge with unwavering faith. Despite their joy and the strength of their bond, one sorrow loomed over their lives. Amara could not conceive. After numerous doctor visits, tests, and consultations, they received heartbreaking news. Amara had been born without a womb. The doctors explained that it was medically impossible for her to bear children. This revelation hit them hard, but their faith did not waver. "God has a plan for us," Pastor Tund would say, holding Amara close when she felt overwhelmed with grief. "We must trust in His timing." Amara tried to remain strong, but the pain was deep. She longed to experience motherhood, to hold her own children in her arms. She prayed fervently, often spending nights on her knees, tears mingling with her whispered prayers. One day, as they sat together in the living room, Pastor Tund took Amara's hand. "I believe it's time we take this to a higher level of faith," he said. "Let's dedicate ourselves to fasting and praying continuously for a miracle." Amara nodded, determination shining in her eyes. They began their fast, praying day and night, seeking divine intervention. The church members joined in, supporting them with prayers and encouragement. Weeks turned into months, and they continued their spiritual journey, holding onto their faith like a lifeline. One night, during a particularly intense prayer session, Amara felt a strange sensation in her abdomen. It was unlike anything she had ever felt before. She gasped and looked at Pastor Tund. "Tund, something is happening," she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. They prayed even harder, sensing that a miracle was unfolding. The following days were filled with anticipation and hope. Amara's health began to change subtly, and she felt a vitality she hadn't known before. After a month, Amara decided to visit the doctor for a checkup. Pastor Tund accompanied her, their hearts filled with cautious optimism. The doctor ran several tests, and as he reviewed the results, his expression turned from one of professional detachment to astonishment. "Amara," the doctor said, his voice trembling slightly, You have a womb. I don't know how it's possible, but it's there. And you're pregnant." Amara and Pastor Tund stared at the doctor, hardly daring to believe their ears. Tears of joy filled their eyes, and they embraced, thanking God for this unimaginable miracle. The pregnancy progressed smoothly, and 9 months later, Amara gave birth to 2 beautiful twin girls. The entire village celebrated, praising the power of faith and the grace of God. Amara and Pastor Tund named their daughters Grace and Faith, symbols of the divine intervention that had blessed their lives. From that day forward, Amara was truly free. The curse that had once bound her was broken, and she embraced her new life with gratitude and joy. She and Pastor Tund raised their daughters with love and wisdom, teaching them the values of faith, resilience, and the power of prayer. The community thrived, and the story of Amara's miracle became a beacon of hope for all who heard it. It was a testament to the power of unwavering faith and the boundless possibilities that come with believing in the impossible. Amara often sat with her daughters, telling them stories of their incredible journey, ensuring that the legacy of faith and miracles would be passed down through generations. As they listened, Grace and Faith knew that they were born of a miracle, and they carried that sense of wonder and gratitude in their hearts. Amara and Pastor Tun's love story, marked by trials, faith, and divine blessings, became an enduring legend in their village. It was a reminder to all that with faith, hope, and love, even the most impossible dreams could come true.